so we have two roles. Our main role is the search and rescue. So whenever there's a threat of rockets and buildings being destroyed by rockets, or earthquakes, it's kind of the same role. Then we have a rescue and a rescue role. So we are prepared to work on those sites. And now because of the stress and the amount of work which the army has now, we also do and basically guarding. But here is the medical company, so also responding to car accidents. Either side, so both the Palestinians or Israelis are injured. Just kind of a more medical role. Yeah, so we're based in an area where there are a lot of incidents, stone throwings, fire bombs, bombs as well, shootings. So as a paramedic or in any medical field, the number one rule is you help anyone, no matter who they are, Jewish, non-Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Palestinian, terrorist, or the victim of a terror attack. We help everyone. We help everyone. It's not our job to judge or to execute. So whilst I was driving down south, the friend had called me. She knew I was a paramedic, and her friend had called her asking her for help. She was in a lot of pain. She'd been shot in the leg, and basically over the phone, I had to direct them how to put on a tourniquet, how to stop the bleeding, how to make sure the bleeding wouldn't start again. So yes, the tourniquet did stop the bleeding and saved her life. And so regarding Palestinians, so both in this tour and in the previous tours, we're based in Judea and Samaria, in areas which has a very mixed population. The unit which I'm with does different missions, stopping people from coming over the border, making sure that terrorist attacks don't happen, and if they do, stopping them quickly, including neutralizing the attacker. But there are also a lot of accidents in the area, and the accidents can happen between Palestinian cars, can happen between Israeli cars and Palestinian cars. And wherever the accident is, we're sent there. And there've been a number of Palestinians who we've treated and actually saved their lives, both from car accidents and also from trying to cross the border and being injured whilst crossing the border, either from falling or from our forces who are stopping them. But when it comes to the actual treatments, it doesn't matter what caused it or who they are. They receive the same treatment from us. It does make a difference to us who we're treating. And that's been over the years, whilst working for Magen David Adom, the Israel Ambulance Service. I used to live in Jerusalem. We used to respond to Muslims in East Jerusalem, Christians in the Old City, and Jews in the rest of Jerusalem. And the treatment they receive is exactly the same, and the evacuation to hospital as well. To save a life is to save a life.
You just mentioned October 7th. Tell me about what happened to you on October 7th. Where were you? What were you doing?
So iconically, so we had a 3-month-old baby. My grandparents and my grandfather were here in Israel for the holiday for Sukkot, and we went to them. We were in there. They have an apartment in Netanya, and we were with them. And the baby woke us up, I think, around 6 o'clock. And then at 6:30, both mine and my wife's phones started exploding. She at the time was working for the ambulance service, and I volunteered there and I helped them with some other stuff as well. So our phones were started exploding. We saw the alerts, we saw the messages, and we saw videos of what was going on. So within 10 minutes, I told my grandparents. My grandfather's already gone to synagogue. So I told my grandmother that we're going to head back. I was going to go and take my wife and the baby to her parents, so she'd be safe there. And I knew that within a minutes or hours, I'd be called in. So I went to synagogue to tell my grandfather, hugged them goodbye, and we left. We drove back. I remember the decisions which I had to make. My car was, I think, half full of petrol. I was like, do I stop now in a petrol station with my wife and child in the car? Or do I carry on to the center or to the south where it'll be more dangerous and fill up there without them in the car? It was like, those are the kinds of decisions which I had to make. And a friend called me that she had another friend on the line who'd been shot and was in a shelter and couldn't get through to the ambulance service. And what should she do? And having to give her directions over the phone how to make a tourniquet, how to put a tourniquet on, how to stop the bleeding, whilst driving with my wife and child in the car to take them home so they would be safe. Getting them a uniform and driving to Jerusalem, which is where we're based and where our operative area is, to be called up.
Given your family's background and your granddad's story, you must feel proud to serve in the IDF. How has that made you feel?
So definitely proud. I know my mother is very proud. As a Jewish mother, she's very proud and talks to her friend, my grandparents as well. It's definitely it's not. I think a lot of Israelis see serving in the army as a duty and a responsibility, but don't realize it's a privilege as well. And I see it as a privilege as well to be able to be in Israel, the Jewish homeland. Finally, after many years out, to have a place which is, again, as dangerous as it is still safe to be Jewish. And I think it's as I said, it's a duty and a responsibility, but it's also a privilege.
Tell me a bit more about your relationship with your grandfather. What's that like? I assume he's very proud of you.
He is. So the fondest memories is every single Saturday, Shabbat for us. When I was a child, he used to come over and play with us. And here again, he wasn't a young man, but he started a tradition. I'm his oldest grandchild, so he would come over every week and sit on the floor with us, play with me at the first, and then with my siblings, playing Lego and other games. But that was something which was always very, very important to me every single week. And then growing up, teaching me how to repair stuff, how to be handy, to now getting his advice on investments and work. So the relationship's also definitely grown and matured as I have. He's also now a lot older and realized he needs to talk a lot more about his story because it's definitely being forgotten and even denied in certain places. So I try help him with that as well.
Of course, at the moment, we're a year and a half on from the October 7th atrocity, but still Hamas have not been eliminated. What are your thoughts on that and them and the hostage situation?
I think, first of all, the Hamas need to release the hostages, and that's the only way to reach some kind of end to the situation. But I think Hamas is an ideology. It's not a person. It's not a certain group of people who can be eliminated. It's an ideology which is being taught in schools from ground up, from the youngest years, and without there being some kind of international pressure and international focus and responsibility, Hamas isn't going to be eliminated.
And do you plan to stay in the IDF for a long time as a reservist?
So it's not actually a matter of what we plan to do. It's what we're told. We've just now finished 2 months, a 2-month tour, which has actually been quite. So I just became an officer. I finished the officer's course also in reserve duty at the end of last year. So it's been a lot. I also volunteered to do a lot more during the past year and a half since the 7th of October. I think for the meantime, unless I'm called back, I'm gonna take some time off and